The lawsuit rages on. Judge Bell issued a strong warning to NASCAR's attorneys after day 3 in court.
Denny Hamlin's lawyers told him to stay off social media, but he didn't care. Late at night, while the people managing his legal strategy were fast asleep, he grabbed his phone and posted anyway. He wrote that his lawyers warned him not to tweet, but he simply wanted to tell fans that he loves them and that he refuses to stop fighting for what's right. And just like that, NASCAR fans erupted. Some said he won the unofficial People's Championship. Others said he ought to team up with Dale Jr. and take over the sport completely. That one little tweet turned the entire racing world upside down. But the truth is, this situation runs way deeper than a single post. This is the biggest legal showdown in NASCAR history, and it's getting uglier by the day. Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan own 23XI Racing, and they're suing NASCAR. Bob Jenkins, the owner of Front Row Motorsports, is also suing. Together, these owners are accusing NASCAR of abusing its power and violating federal antitrust laws. The trial began on December 1st in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it wasted no time becoming intense. At the center of the fight is NASCAR's charter system. A charter is basically a guaranteed ticket that gets a team into every race and ensures they receive a slice of the revenue. Without one, you might not even qualify, and you'd make far less money. It's the foundation teams rely on to survive. But in 2024, NASCAR sent teams a brand new agreement. One owners say was completely unacceptable. To make it even worse, NASCAR emailed the 112-page contract at 6 p.m. on a Friday and demanded signatures by midnight. 6 hours to read, analyze, and commit to a document that would dictate the next phase of their existence. Bob Jenkins was out to dinner with his parents when the offer came through. The restaurant had no cell service. By the time he got home, his phone was full of messages from other team owners confused, frustrated, and scrambling to figure out what to do. Jenkins told the court there was real panic among the owners that night. He said emotions were running wild. Joe Gibbs, a legendary team owner, told Jenkins he felt forced to sign and later admitted he felt like he had let Jenkins down. Not a single owner was happy with the deal, but 13 teams signed it anyway because they felt cornered. Only 2 refused, 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports. That refusal is why they're in court now. The judge overseeing the case, Kenneth Bell, has not been impressed with NASCAR's legal team. On the 3rd day of the trial, he became visibly angry when NASCAR's attorneys broke rules they had agreed to follow. First, they questioned Bob Jenkins about his other businesses, topics that were supposed to be completely off-limits. Jenkins used to own several fast food franchises, and NASCAR's lawyers tried to drag that into the conversation to make him look irresponsible. Then they crossed an even more serious line. They read a text message from Jeff Dickerson, someone who isn't testifying and can't explain himself. Judge Bell had already ruled that text message inadmissible, and yet NASCAR used it anyway. The judge tore into NASCAR's lawyers right in front of the jury. He warned both sides that further rule violations would bring harsh consequences, and he emphasized that he only wants to try this case once. If misconduct continues, he hinted the entire trial could be thrown out and restarted. A nightmare scenario for everyone involved. The jury was clearly paying attention too. They did not react well to NASCAR's attempts to paint Jenkins as an incompetent businessman. Instead, the jury appeared sympathetic toward him, and Jenkins's financial realities explain why. He testified that Front Row Motorsports has never made a profit, not once in 22 years. Over those 2 decades, he has lost around $100 million. In the last 3 years alone, he's lost over $16 million. He has never taken a salary from his own team. Before the next-gen car, he spent $1.8 million a year on parts. Now that number is $4.7 million. Even if a car finishes a race with no damage at all, NASCAR's mandated repairs cost $30,000 per car. Jenkins said he's offended when people accuse him of overspending. He insists he follows a business model he can manage. The sport itself is simply expensive at every level. He said the new charter offer felt insulting, like the sport was moving backwards. He said NASCAR wants to run everything with an iron fist, and compared the situation to taxation without representation, the same kind of unfairness that sparked the American Revolution. Even so, He made sure to clarify that he isn't attacking the France family personally. He respects many of their decisions. But this charter deal, he said, is a serious mistake. Then Denny Hamlin took the stand and his testimony became emotional quickly. He spoke about his father's declining health, and when he mentioned the sacrifices his parents made when he was young, he broke down in tears. When he was 20 years old, he reached a crossroads: continue racing or take a job at his father's trailer business. It was the toughest choice of his life. He explained that partnering with Michael Jordan was his best chance at long-term success. Jordan's name brings sponsors, attention, and credibility. Without him, Hamlin said 2311, racing probably wouldn't make enough money to survive. Even with Jordan, the numbers are brutal. Hamlin testified that it costs around $20 million to run a single car for a full Cup Series season, and that doesn't even include paying the driver, staff, or business expenses. NASCAR's charter model returns only $12.5 million per car. That leaves a $7.5 million hole that must be filled through sponsorships, which are harder to secure than ever. Hamlin said the new charter agreement felt like signing a death certificate for his future if he signed it. He said 2311, racing wouldn't exist in a decade. He said he spent 20 years trying to grow NASCAR as a driver and the last 5 trying to strengthen it as an owner, but he can't accept being treated unfairly. He said NASCAR was wrong and someone needed to challenge them. During cross-examination, NASCAR's lawyers tried to ambush him with his own podcasts, where he had spoken positively about the sport. But Hamlin pushed back hard. He said all those comments were taken out of context. He explained that NASCAR gives him talking points for public appearances and expects him to stay positive. He said negative comments lead to punishment on the track, so of course, he has to be careful about what he says publicly. He also clarified the monopoly issue. Drivers, he said, aren't trapped. They can leave NASCAR entirely and go race somewhere else if they choose. But team owners, they're stuck. There is no alternative major stock car series to join. NASCAR is the only option. That, Hamlin said, is the difference. And that's where the antitrust argument begins. The court also reviewed internal NASCAR communication, and it shocked everyone. NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps called the negotiations productive, but also described them as insanity, saying the teams got 0 wins. Another executive, Steve O'Donnell, said the approach would take NASCAR back to 1996 and used harsh language comparing it to a dictatorship that would shrink the sport. Executive Scott Prime sarcastically called NASCAR's strategy of giving teams a little money while denying every major request bold. The trial is scheduled to last 2 weeks, and even bigger names like Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske are expected to testify. The outcome could redefine NASCAR forever. If the teams win, Judge Bell could dismantle NASCAR's monopoly, force the France family to sell the company, sell racetracks, or even eliminate the charter system entirely. But if NASCAR wins, 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports may not survive. Their 6 charters would be sold off, and the 2 teams fighting the hardest might be the ones who disappear. Right now, the judge is clearly tired of NASCAR's tactics, and the courtroom is full of stories about team owners losing millions, while NASCAR brings in hundreds of millions. The tension is rising, and the future of the entire sport is hanging on what happens next.